Greetings everyone. I am Ria Bansal from Tasveer. If you're new to our channel, Tasveer is a research organization based on sensitive image-based cybercrimes. Today we have an eminent guest in our midst. Mr. Gaurav Gupta is the first Indian to earn a doctorate in the field of digital forensics. He was bestowed with the Young Scientist Award of the Indian Science Congress in 2010 by the man of science, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Sir is on a mission to create awareness about technological frauds in society, and he has been a mentor and guide to many research students and interns. He has a rich experience of 20 years, encompassing working in the Big Four and serving as faculty member in the Indraprastha Institute of Information Technology, Delhi. He's currently an additional director with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, and he has delivered over 150 talks, including keynotes, and has published more than 60 technical research papers. He is the author of the best-selling book, Unsafe, available on Amazon. We welcome you, sir. We have a great lineup of questions for you. Shall we proceed?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sir. So first of all, we have heard that your book, Unsafe, discusses that the youth are really gullible to cybercrimes and are often the most suffering victims. How do you think children should be made aware of such criminals and such crimes at such a technologically advanced age?
Yeah, so technology today has made us completely dependent on it. Starting from booking a railway ticket to ordering food from the restaurants. There are apps for doing anything and everything. So the humankind wants convenience, and that convenience is being provided by technology, internet, smartphones, and the combination of all that. Since we are doing everything on technology and smartphones and using internet, criminals know that, and they try to exploit our emotions. They know how human mind works, and that's where what they do is they develop their stories or their traps, exploiting our habits, exploiting the way we do work, exploiting the way we think. Just to give an example, let's say they know that when you are looking for a customer care number, you will go to Google and search for it, right? Something has gone wrong. Let's say your RO is not working or your TV is not working. You will actually look for Samsung customer care or Kantaro, service center. And the first number which comes to the screen will dial, and you assume that that will be the first number on which you need to call. Now, what criminals do is they give advertisements. They give advertisements of their mobile numbers posing as customer care service provider for various appliances. Since it is an ad, there will be small AD written on top of it, but it users doesn't see it. And they give their own mobile numbers where they trap you, and then they will send you a link, or they will take you offline and then do fraud with you, right? So because user wants convenience, he doesn't care about anything else, and criminals know that by giving ad, they can be on the top search results because they are paying money. The search, it will come before any other search result, and that's what they know, and that's how they are doing frauds. So there are n number of ways of doing frauds. They know that if you're going to airport and your phone is running out of battery, you will probably connect it to those publicly available chargers, and now those public chargers can actually do juice jacking to you, which means they can install a virus, they can probably extract and steal your data, and we are not aware of it, right? So we just have a mad rush of making sure that our phone should not die. And there are very simple solutions, if I have to charge my phone, I don't charge my phone at airport. I charge my power bank, because power bank is a dumb device. It can't be infected with the virus. And once my power bank is charged, I will charge my phone. Let's assume somebody is not having a power bank, but in that case also, you should not charge your phone when your phone is in switched on mode. If you switch off your phone and charge at that point, there are high chances that nothing will go wrong because your phone is now almost dead. But users being user, they also wanted to use phone while they're charging it. We can't live without phone for even 1 minute, and that anxiety actually is used by criminals to do fraud. So that's what what happens is criminals find out how user works, how user mind works, and that is what is being exploited. So not only young ones, the very young ones, because of the pandemic and people were taking, kids were taking classes online, and at times they were taking classes online on their shared device, let's say their father's or mother's phone or a laptop or a tab. Now what happens is the same device is being used for financial transactions also. Now what happens is criminals know that fact. So what they will do, they will call at a time when the class might be going on and tell the kid that, okay, you can surprise your parents by increasing their credit card limit, or they will give some such story where kid will think, okay, if I do something, it will help my parents, and then they will ask that kid to, share the screen of the phone or the tab, install some kind of AnyDesk application or a team viewer application, and then they will take control of the phone on the device and do misuse. They will then extract money, do transactions, and all sort of data stealing can happen. Even the old ones, the ones who have recently retired, who have the nest tag because they have a lot of the funds because of the retirement which they have got, those people are not very comfortable using technology, right? And they feel shy in asking for help to the young ones and the youth. And at times youth does not have, family members do not have sufficient time for them. So now what happens is they will pose as their friends, and they will say that, okay, we will help you. So in guise of helping them, they will ask them to install TeamViewer or some kind of screen sharing app, SMS forwarding app. And now what they will do is they will use their linked bank accounts and siphon off all the money. So these are the tricks which they play. There are a number of tricks, some of which I have discussed in the book also, about how criminals do fraud in terms of small stories, and how to avoid such kind of crimes, because most of the cyber crimes actually can be avoided only by doing a digital discipline.
So it's essentially the human factor which will ultimately lead us to exploitation.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Secondly, your book provides insight into the minds of these criminals itself and their modus operandi from their own perspectives. Do you think that only making laws for imprisoning them will to higher sentences or something is the way forward? Or is rehabilitation and better safeguards the way to curtail cybercrimes? Which, according to you, is better?
Right. So, it's a very important question. And what happens is, see, we in India, we have a large population, and we have large population who have access to smartphones and cheap internet. They may not have legitimate business at times, right? So the people who have internet, who have a laptop and a cheap internet connection, that's the only thing required to do a crime. So it is a very low risk, high gain method for doing something, right? So that's where it is very easy for those people who do not have any employment, or who are not able to find the right place to work, and they have technological access to phones and internet and smartphones. It is very lucrative for them to go into the cyber criminal world. And that's where we have seen, there are hotspots in those areas where we have least expected crime to happen, like Jamdara and the Mewat, and those areas which are not very highly educated people live there. So what has happened is, since the 4G revolution and cheap internet and phones allow them to explore things, they have learned the modus operandi of doing crimes, and it's very easy for them, because now what they do, they only need to know 1 or 2 or 3 method of doing crime. They will call some random number. They have a list of phone numbers of the legitimate users, and they will start dialing one by one, and they will keep telling same story to each one of them, hoping that out of 100, a few will fall for the trap, and that is good enough for them to make enough money. So most important thing is, we need to make users aware. As a user, if you are aware, if you know what is being done by the criminals, how they're playing with your mind, how they're playing with your emotions. For example, they play with most common emotions like greed. They will give you some lucrative story where you will they will offer you that, okay, you will get 1 million rupees, or you will inherit some property, or else they will give you some threat that your phone will be switched off today, your account will be blocked permanently if you don't do this action in the next 5 minutes. Or they will give you, let's say, a deal, which like a fear of missing out, FOMO kind of thing, that, okay, I'm giving you a Apple iPhone 14 on 95% off, but this deal is valid only for 5 minutes. If you make payment of 10,000 rupees, Apple iPhone 14 is yours. But they're not giving you time, because they don't want you to consult somebody. They don't want you to do a research on that website and find out that this is fraudulent. So they exploit our basic human emotions. And so these should actually be a red flag. So any user who is listening to this talk today, they should realize that whenever somebody is forcing you to do something in less amount of time, that should be a red flag. So if we can help people understand what are the red flags, and if we can tell people that nothing comes free, anything too good to be true is actually a trap, and if they understand that, most of the cyber crimes can be avoided. On the second side, we must also help these people who are trying to do frauds in terms of providing opportunity. Obviously, rehabilitation is something which is very, very important. that always helps that, to bring those people who can do cyber crimes. That means they are intelligent people, they can understand the process and they can execute a process. So they probably could be good employees going forward, right? So if some NGOs take up rehabilitation, that also will be a great idea.
Because at the end of the day, they are highly technologically advanced minds if they are able to carry out such frauds as well.
Even if they're not technologically extremely sophisticated, they are process oriented. They have been told a process and they are following it repeatedly again and again and learning by doing it. So they can learn things. They have shown that aptitude.
Right, absolutely. Talking more about your book, it consists of multiple real-life examples of cyber crimes committed for the readers to identify themselves and make themselves aware of possible mistakes they may commit. What initiatives do you suggest to reach the minority and tribal sections of society who are most ignorant in this regard?
Yeah, so what happens is, see, what needs to be done is the kind of community you are talking about, there's a 80-20 principle which applies to most situations, right? So 20% of the time, 80% of the time, those crimes are happening which are fixed in nature. For example, they know they are going to exploit through your phone. They are going to probably install something on your phone. They are probably going to send a keylogger to you or a malicious software like a ransomware to you. So there are 5-10 types of crime which happen to large number of people. So if we can just make list of those commonly occurring crimes and can help people, first of all, understand through awareness. Second is by developing small technical solutions which can then be applied by the service providers. For example, if I can mandate telecom service providers to provide a free software for, let's say, to protect the young ones, right? So I can have a parental filter kind of a software which is made available free of cost, and if anybody and everybody can download it, they can ensure that the young ones cannot go to objectionable websites and so on, right? So we can have those kind of schemes, we can have those kind of initiatives where those commonly occurring crimes can be identified, and then they can be we can make awareness, we can make solutions available to mass number of people to avoid that kind of crimes.
All right. And you have busted many myths regarding cyberspace in your book. And you've pointed out how these myths encourage predators to attack even more, which is contrary to belief. And in this age of misinformation and politics, how does one navigate the true facts of the cyberspace?
Yes. So what happens is, most of the time you get misinformation, or you go to the places which are not having the correct information because you are not yourself going to those places. You are being lured to those places. That means somebody is sending you a link, somebody is sending you a SMS which contains a link. So if you click on those links, in most cases you will end up going to a place which might not have the correct information, right? Also, like, we are using WhatsApp a lot, and anything and everything comes on WhatsApp. So believing whatever is coming towards us on WhatsApp or on social media is not the right idea. All these platforms are designed to make sure that you remain hooked to the platform, because more time you spend on this platform, more money these people will make who are having the platforms, right? So idea is, we should have a schedule. We should make sure that we are there on social media, but we don't believe everything. Whatever we need to find, instead of clicking on the link, we should go to the web and type on our own. For example, if you have to go to Google and search something, you have to go to Google and search something, rather than click the Google link which has been shared to you, because then O and 0 looks same. There might be a website which is G00gle.com, where your eyes are looking at it like a google.com, right? So there are a lot of things which are sent as a phishing link to you. There are lookalike websites. There are problems where I and 1 look same, O and 0 look same, and these facts are exploited by criminals to serve you content which is not right. So it is users' duty to make sure that it takes little more pain, types the websites on its own, ensures that you are not clicking on a phishing link. And that is the most important precaution a person can take to avoid being phished, to avoid going to a place which does not have the right information or which is not the legitimate website.
All right. So, sir, going on to the next question, what is your opinion on social media platforms like WhatsApp and Twitter absolving responsibility from themselves of objectionable posts? with crimes like revenge porn and private information being hacked and leaked. Is it their duty to check that the cyberspace that they own and they've created is safe, or is it somebody else's duty? And to what degree should they be held accountable?
So, when we talk about social media and when we talk about content which is not appropriate being circulated, it's dual, right? If the content about a person is there on these platforms, it is demeaning and really harmful for that particular person. So first piece of advice to all the users is that, in the era where, data remains always, available, in the sense that, let's say if you take a photo or a video which is for your personal consumption, which is probably a private photo or a private video, thinking that you will delete it, and you actually delete it, still it can be recovered. So any data or any digital content once created will remain forever. Recovering it, even after deletion, even after formatting, even after partitioning the hard drive and doing whatever you want to do with the hard digital storage media, data still can be recovered. It's not impossible, it is only little difficult, right? So amount of money, resource and time may vary, but if somebody really wants to retrieve data back, it can be retrieved. So the piece of advice is, do not create any content, piece of text, audio, video, anything which you do not want to come back and haunt you. Because if you do that, sooner or later it will be leaked, it will be available at various places, various platforms, and it will be problematic for you. Now coming back that, there are laws which protect users from these kind of issues. If there is any content which is violative, you can report. So reporting mechanisms are there. And there are guidelines in the law, in Information Technology Act and various other like IPC and CRPC, where the platforms has to take actions within the finite amount of time to ensure that anything which is objectionable is not there on their platform. So this is something which is important to note. And many times we do not report, many times we not pursue, and that is where this content remains. And platforms has to make sure that data and the content which is not good should not remain on their platform once it is reported to them.
Right. So essentially, nothing can ever just disappear from the internet.
Absolutely, because as I told, data once created always remains. And also, these service providers have their terms and conditions, which is probably not in favor of users, and we don't read it, right? So if you go to Facebook or a Twitter or any other social media, they typically say that whatever you are posting can be used for whatever purpose they want, for making sure they can use your photos and video to train their programs. Even for those technologies which are not available today, which will come tomorrow, your data can be used and processed and modified and can be used for advertising and anything else. For example, if you have a photograph having coffee mug in your hand and you have posted it, they can use this coffee mug photograph and replace it with a beer mug and can use it for an advertisement in Australia, say, right? Because you have given those rights to them. So we must be very clear that, we are surrendering a lot of rights to them. So whatever we are posting, we should post it very carefully by removing anything which is personal, private, or which has potential to go against us. Because, many companies today use your social media profiles to give you a job, right? So let's say if you are selected as a candidate, there will be a check run on your social media profiles to find out what kind of views you have, whether, let's say, have you abused somebody or not, have you spoken about a particular religion or not, were you partying, let's say, on a holiday location, let's say in Goa or somewhere, and were drunk, and you have a lot of photos and videos, and all that data will be used to judge whether the job should be given to you or not. Many countries issue visa by accessing this data, right? So it may so happen that you apply for a particular country's visa tomorrow and it will be declined, and the reason could be that something which you have posted on your social media profiles, which was probably violating their policy or which they didn't like.
So we're moving to a more aware and conscious world in this regard, for sure.
You're moving towards a world which remembers everything you have done, and then you might have to pay the price for something which you did when you were very young and you did not care about something, but it will come back and haunt you when you are at a position where everybody will dig out all the past data and point it to you.
Right. Coming to our last and more legally centric question, being an additional director of the Ministry of Electronics and IT, in the cyber law division, do you think governments and the courts are doing enough to curtail cyber crimes, especially considering the spike seen in the pandemic period as well? And do you think our legal infrastructure and procedural system is adequately equipped in dealing with cyber crimes and act as a deterrent to these unlawful activities?
So again, a very good question. So what happens is, technological adoption is increasing at exponential pace, right? Because of the pandemic, it has increased extraordinarily fast. So governments and the various other stakeholders in, let's say, law enforcement agencies, courts, and the complete legal system is doing really well, and they are changing themselves. They are coming out with a lot of initiatives to ensure that cyber crimes are stopped, or if they happen, then they are investigated fast and prosecuted fast. The problem is the number of users which are there in the country, and the adoption of technology has outpaced anything and everything. So what has happened is, because of ease of reporting, number of crimes being reported today are higher, because government has launched something known as www.cybercrime.gov.in, which means now you can lodge your complaint sitting at home. You don't have to go to a police station, which has increased reporting. So we might be seeing that number of crimes being reported has increased tremendously in last 5, 7, 10 years. Whereas the fact is, the convenience of reporting has gone up. That's why number of crimes being reported are more, number of frauds being reported are more. But government is actually helping citizens. Government is having schemes. Government is amending laws. For example, new IT rules have come where it has been made mandatory that all these companies, all the social media service providers, have to have a grievance officer listening to the users' complaints. They have to have their offices in India. They have to remove content which is objectionable in a finite amount of timeline. We are training a lot of law enforcement agencies. We have initiative where cyber laws and cyber crime investigation and digital forensic related diplomas and courses are being run by the government to make people more aware. So I think this is the right step in the right direction, because if you make people more aware, initially the reporting will become high, and that will look like that crimes have increased, whereas awareness has increased, people are reporting more, and those are being tackled by various law enforcement agencies, and that is very good for the ecosystem. Now criminals will know that once they do a crime, it will be reported, it will be investigated, and they will be prosecuted.
Absolutely. I think our law enforcement agencies are definitely considering this to be a top priority, because I think we are moving towards such a internet-based world, and this is so essential. Absolutely.
So there are new investigative techniques also being developed. As if you happen to read the book Cyber Unsafe, it has a section on digital forensics, which basically tells what are the things which can be investigated, which were otherwise people thought are not investigable. For example, let's say if I come and meet you in your office, and let's say you go out for a minute to take a important call. I can use your computer where your mail is logged in to send an email to your boss. Now, how will you prove that you have not sent that email? It's difficult, because it is your computer, your IP, which is being used to send out that email. But there is something known as authorship analysis, using which I can find out the way you write versus the way I write. So the spelling mistakes, the choice of words, the connections of the words, the way you write your salutations, the way you complete and conclude your mails, and the capitalization of letters, and so on. Using all these things, actually I can make a profile which can prove beyond doubt in a scientific manner that you have not written that email. And if I am the suspect among many other suspects, who among the suspect have written this can also be established. So I've talked about various scenarios for which we think probably investigation is not possible. We mentioned that those are investigable, and how investigation will happen. So I have given out in a layman words, in a layman language, in a non-technical manner, what all can be done to change your digital habits, digital etiquettes, so that you can avoid a lot of cyber crimes. Because according to me, 95 to 98% of cyber crimes are avoidable in nature. They happen because user was not aware, or he let his guard down, and that's where criminals forced and did those cyber crimes which otherwise were avoidable in nature. So reading and knowing about prevailing cybercrime techniques is the best way to make sure that you do not fall for the cyber crimes, according to me.
I think that is the most important statement made today, that 98 to 99% of the cyber crimes are avoidable in nature, and that is something our viewers should definitely focus on. Well, that was an extremely insightful session, sir. And thank you so much for lending us your precious time. This book seems very, very promising and impactful. And I would like to urge our viewers to please check it out. And it's available on Amazon. And I would like to thank our viewers for watching us. And thank you so much, sir, again for this incredible session. I think this will be really, really valuable for everybody who is, just looking forward to gaining some knowledge regarding this. And with that, we'll be signing off today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.